Hello, welcome back to another video. So I'm very excited today because I'm here by the Rochdale Canal and we're near Lock 89, which is just off Whitworth Street in Manchester, and they're draining this section of the canal. Now there's something I want to show you, and I'll explain at home in a minute, but there's something I want to show you by the canal here, and if you watch my videos you'll have seen it before. Where are we? There it is. Right, okay. There's a little arrow on the side of the canal here. Look at this. So that little arrow on the side of the towpath here on the canal, it marks a point where there's a trapdoor in the base of the Rochdale Canal. Now, you'd think I was having you on, wouldn't you? But there is actually a trapdoor in the base of the Rochdale Canal. And that trapdoor was put in 200 years ago when the canal was built to act like a plug, like a drainage hole. And underneath here is the River Tib, okay? So, allow me to explain. Okay, so what is this about? Rivers and trapdoors, what on earth am I talking about? Right, well, in the last video that I made, I asked you to watch my video about the River Tib, Manchester's lost River Tib, and this is the video here. Now, some of you may have watched that, and I appreciate some of you have never seen that video. The River Tib is a lost river in Manchester, a legendary lost river, and it's legendary because it used to run open about 200 years ago, and because it was in the centre of Manchester, it ended up being culverted, built on top of, and it disappeared. And it's disappeared along its entire length. So from where it starts on Oldham Road near Miles Platton in Manchester, right through to where it runs towards the River Medlock, nobody sees it because it's deep underground in a little culvert. Now, the River Tib is only a small river, it's not a big river, and quite often when they've been doing roadworks and they've broke through into the tunnel that houses the River Tib, it's been mistaken for a sewer. So we're talking a small river. In rainfall, it runs quite fast, and in dry periods, it can almost dry up. So we're at Lock 89 on the Rochdale Canal, down towards the end of the Rochdale Canal in the middle of Manchester city centre. And deep below Lock 89, underneath the canal, the River Tib runs. Let's take a look at the underground map. So there you go, that's our hidden underground Manchester map, courtesy of hiddenmanchester.org.uk. And you'll see the blue line there plots the route of the River Tib. And my red arrow points to the Rochdale Canal, Lock 89, and you'll see our blue line, the River Tib, crosses underneath the Rochdale Canal, deep down in its little culvert, no more than a very small tunnel. And you'll see the box there talks about the trapdoor in the Rochdale Canal that goes down to the River Tib. So that's what we're looking at today, and that's where we are. Let me show you in detail where we are on Google Maps. There you go, there's Google Maps, and you'll see we're just off Whitworth Street there near Oxford Road Station. The top purple arrow shows Lock 89 where we are, and the bottom purple arrow shows roughly where the Tib enters the Medlock. You'll see the River Medlock there, and the dotted line I've put in just to show roughly where the culvert runs. You'll see the River Medlock is heavily culverted through the city centre of Manchester. And that's where the Tib meets the Medlock, and it's inside a culvert, so we never get to see it. But it also illustrates the distance between Lock 89 and where the Tib finally ends and meets the River Medlock, and you'll see it's only basically a short distance. Okay, so there's very little evidence of the River Tib in Manchester. The only clues are Tib Street, where the River Tib runs down underneath Tib Street, and this arrow on the side of the Rochdale Canal. The trapdoor was put in probably when they built the canal, and because they knew the River Tib was underneath, and so they built the trapdoor into the canal so that when they wanted to drain that section, they could lift the trapdoor, down went the canal, into the River Tib about 16-20 feet below, and then the Tib would take the canal waters down towards the Medlock. Now, even when the Tib runs into the Medlock, it does so when the Medlock's in a culvert. So even that's out of sight, out of mind. We can't see the River Tib when it finally meets the Medlock. So the River Tib really is a bit of a mysterious river. So anything to do with the River Tib, I'm completely fascinated with. And when I made that video about the River Tib, I thought I'd never get to see this trapdoor. Now I'm going to warn you, the trapdoor's not very big, it's only a small trapdoor, but it's a great, great thing to see when you know what it is. So, quick background, Canal and Rivers Trust did an open day at Lock 92. I went to that, I made a video, got chatting to a gentleman, and I asked the question like I always do, what do you know about the River Tib and the trapdoor at Lock 89? And of course he said to me, all right, yeah, next week we're draining that section and we're going to open the trapdoor. Of course, my jaw dropped to the floor and I was like, I need to come and see. When are you doing it? And he very, very kindly invited me down to go and take a look at the work that was happening. Now, me and Connor went down and like I say, they kitted us out and allowed us to go down into the drain canal at our own risk. But they were fantastic with us and we had a brilliant, brilliant day. So let's get back down to the Rochdale Canal. Let's see if they've drained the water and where we're up to. And let's see most of all if we can take a look at the trapdoor. Also, we're going to maybe take a look along the canal and look at what we can find. Some of the things that are lying about there amongst the mud and all the rubbish. Some things very much that have been there a long time. And some things that might be very much alive. So let's take a look down at Lock 89. So basically they're draining this section of the canal. You can see down there is Deansgate Locks, that down there. And this bit now, currently, the water, although you can't see it, is dropping as we speak. Be about another hour or so we're going to go and get a quick drink. And then when we come back, hopefully this section here will be completely drained and we can get in and take a look at the trapdoor that goes down to the River Tib, the 200-year-old trapdoor, which will be absolutely amazing. So forgive me for getting quite excited about all this. So we'll come back in a bit and hopefully the water will have gone down and we can take a look and see if we can see the trapdoor. And by the way, I need to say we've been invited down to have a look at this today very kindly by the Canal and Rivers Trust. So these guys here have allowed us to come down, film all this, and I think we're going to actually get into the canal in a bit and see if we can look at the chain that pulls the trapdoor up. Amazing stuff. Anyway, see you in a bit. Now, just while we're here, a little bit of extra information for you. That building on the left-hand side there is the Hacienda Apartments. But those apartments stand on the site of the old Hacienda Club. And where we are here at Lock 89, the Hacienda Club used to stand backing onto the Rochdale Canal. The apartment, that new building there, has got nothing to do with the original Hacienda at all. But in 1983, 1984, New Order made a little homemade documentary called Play at Home. And they interviewed Mike Pickering, the then DJ of the Hacienda, who later was in M People, the group called M People, and the interview was carried out here at Lock 89 on the Rochdale Canal. And somewhere back there in that picture, that screenshot, is the Hacienda just on the left-hand side. Just a little bit of extra information for those that may know or may not know. Right, so we've been away, we've had a quick coffee, and the water level is going down quite considerably now. That's the lock, that's Lock 89. You can see there's like a little cranes there above it, ready to do some work in the lock. I'll just show you the water level now. You see how the boat's gone to one side there. So you can just sort of see the base of the canal coming visible now. Old fences and stuff in there. In fact, I'm going to go over there in a minute and see if the trapdoor's becoming visible. Although I think it might be under a load of silt, so they might have to dig away the silt. Right, so I'm just going to go over to this side of the canal where the little arrow is on the side, and we'll see if there's anything coming visible as the water level's dropped. I mean, it's just me getting excited, this, to be honest with you, because in a bit we are actually going to hopefully get into the canal and see the door, but I just want to see if it's coming visible. Let's find that little arrow. Oh, there it is. And the door, apparently, it's not out there in the middle. The trapdoor apparently is here, just beyond the arrow here. Don't think we can see anything yet, so maybe another hour with the water going down. We'll see if we can finally see our little 200-year-old trapdoor.
So you put them as an hour, only got one battery.
Right at the moment of truth, our team from the Canal and Rivers Trust is entering the canal and they're going to start looking for that trapdoor.
That way.
Right, we've got the chain. The chain is there, they're going to lift the door now.
You know what, mate? It's only, probably from what I remember, it's like a foot by your foot. It's only.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm giving it one.
Right. There you go, it's up. Should back down then?
Oh, it's going.
2, 3. Going.
Oh yeah.
Sign off onto that ring.
What you have to do is.
Wow.
Look at that.
Okay, we're going to clean it.
You can see the wood now.
Yeah.
It's like a plug hole in it in your kitchen.
Yeah.
You got that? I need to let go. Yeah. You got it, yeah.
So all that water is now going down there into the
Don't
tip.
matter if it goes down again.
Yeah, it's fine, I thought it was a lot higher than that.
No, I don't feel much of that. Let go of that, is that the drop?
That
I knew in it, it's just.
Oh, it's got it. No, it's going back down. Go that hole. Can you tie that or not? And I'll wrap it in here then. Ah, right.
So all the water that's going down the plug hole, if you like, now is dropping down about 16 to 20 foot down underneath here into the River Tib, and it will run underneath Whitworth Street, underneath the Home Cinema Complex, and out into a culvert into the River Medlock. Arrow. Trapdoor. Right, so we're very pleased to know I've got they've got the gear on, got the wellies on, and we're going to get into the canal. Canal and Rivers Trust people have allowed us to put the gear on, and they've invited us down into the canal to take a look at the trapdoor. We're going in at our own risk and everything, but they've kindly provided some gear for us. So let's get in the base of that canal and see if we can see that 200-year-old trapdoor. You can see the trapdoor now, the water's gone really right down, and it's quite small, to be honest with you.
Sean will get you shovel now.
Let's see. Let's take a look at this trapdoor then. Right, amazing. So we're down in the canal. The trapdoor is quite small. It's smaller than what I thought, to be honest with you. Oh my God. Seriously old-fashioned sort of wood. Let's take a closer look at it. I never thought I'd touch that. see it is amazing. It's like something off an old ship, you know, the wood is really, really old. Well, that water is basically dropping down there now, about 16-20 foot, like I've said, down into the River Tib. I've got to admit, I never thought I would ever see this trapdoor in my lifetime. When I heard about it, and heard that it hadn't been open for many, many years, I thought, well, obviously it's buried, you'll probably never be able to see it. Turns out they've opened it a couple of times, but it looks like an old ship that's been sunk for years, doesn't it? You know, the wood on it and everything. Absolutely incredible. And like I say, the scary thing is, you could probably drop down there and drop down the shaft into the Tib. And it's got a little wooden, like the sides of it are wooden as well. You can just about see that. A lot smaller than what I thought.
So as I was saying, this it's sort of in a frame. You can see the sides there that are wood, and the whole thing must have been built as a door in a frame. No bigger than a loft hatch, I suppose, really. And so when you think about it, 215 years ago, a blacksmith in his forge made that chain and the hook on the top. And a carpenter or a joiner in his workshop made that door, and the frame that it sits in is commission work for the Rochdale Canal. Older than our parents and our grandparents, and older than their parents, and during that 200 years, wars have been fought, the Titanic sank, and 9 British monarchs have lived, reigned and died.
We've actually just seen, God, it stinks down here a bit, we've seen a couple of little tiny fish go down. It's okay because they'll end up in the Tib and then the Medlock, so it's alright. See if I can see some more for you. Just little tiddlers they were, the fish. So what I'll do is I'll just take a little look up here to the lock. Can't go too far because the water's quite deep, just while that's draining. See the lock there, just beyond. Can't get beyond this point because of all this rubbish here. And they are going to clean it out. They're going to clean the canal out. That's the purpose of this. That they are going to actually get, they're going to use that crane up there, fill the sacks, like rubbish sacks, and lift them out with the crane and get rid of a lot of this rubbish. So that's nice to know, isn't it? Well, there's a lot of people went past there. I just showed them on the video, and I ended up telling them about the River Tib and because they said to me, where's the water going? So I ended up giving this almost semi-presentation to all these people about the River Tib, the lost River Tib, and where the water's going and all the rest of it. So I just had to tell them it was a mission. So I'm just truly privileged to be able to see that, to be honest with you. I've always wanted to see that. Probably one of the very few that have. And there were people walking past here today that probably will see it and won't be interested in it. And you know, and here am I, stood in the middle of the canal, having a semi-religious experience. So just a little bit of detail then, so you can see, not that I know, but you can see the old mason's mark there. I'll show you the old little triangle there. That's what the masons put on when they were laying those rocks, so they could get paid. And obviously you've got where the boats have rubbed along here, along the side, and then you've got a layer of brick there. Now, I bet those bricks are quite interesting, I bet they could tell a tale, because if they're the original bricks that lined the canal, 200 years old, brick technology was constantly changing, because obviously there's probably 1 billion bricks in Manchester that built the railway arches and the canals and everything, so I'm sure that, you know, from the very early ones that maybe made that, they changed over time. But they are quite a square looking brick. I think I read somewhere or heard somewhere that some of these bricks were sort of like wire cut, so lumps of clay that they wire cut square, and they certainly look quite regular, these bricks.
filling bottles.
Right, so we'll take a walk down there. You see Connor and the other guys have gone down there, so we'll just take a walk down the canal a little bit. Now the mud gets really deep. Apparently the further down there you get, you start to, the base of the canal becomes bedrock, the old sandstone, the red sandstone. But the mud's really deep here in the middle, so we're going to walk down the side of the old the boat here, for want of a better word. What is it? Connor's found a skateboard there.
And I've asked if I can take it and keep it, and I've been allowed.
You're not putting that in my car, mate.
Yeah, sorry.
Is it alive?
Oh, it's alive.
Oh, bloody hell, look at that. Oh!
Need a bigger boat.
Need a bigger boat.
Now I did say that some of the finds were alive, and this is a pike, quite common in British canals. And they're quite, apparently they're quite ferocious, they have teeth, and it scared me. It's massive.
Can't just grab it, we need to grab its head.
That is one slippery fish, I'm telling you. I'm getting out of the way because I don't want it flicking at me, but I hope they save it.
Look at Steve Irwin, dive in, or the grip it. Go back and swim.
Oh, he's got it, he's got it. That is one big fish. Right, so we're going to save that.
Dinner time. Lee, you can. Hurry up.
Oh,
Good day for your dinner.
Another one down there.
so he's going to save that. He's going to take it to the bottom there and put it in the bit of the canal where it can swim.
So that gentleman there was obviously one of the team of the Canal and Rivers Trust on the day we were filming, and apparently that's his speciality, saving fish. So of course I said to him, that was massive, that fish. I wouldn't have had I wouldn't have been able to pick it up myself. And he says to me, that was absolutely nothing. You should have seen the monster that I pulled out or saved further up the Rochdale Canal in a place called Littleborough, which is just near the town of Rochdale. Pulls out his phone, shows me a picture of an absolute monster that he saved. That's a pike. I would have nightmares about that. Just look at the head on that absolute monster. Stuff of nightmares.
He's going to take that fish and put it in, you know, the bit of the canal where it can actually swim free, because it distresses me. And animals in distress me. So, it's a big one though, isn't it? I wouldn't have thought there'd had fish like that in here. So the pike is being saved. Thank God. But what a size that was, wasn't it? What a catch. So we're just getting towards Deansgate Locks now in the canal. Mud's getting quite deep. And you can see our man down there is saving the pike. He's going to put it down into the lock down there. So I've walked in the Medlock. Never thought I'd end up walking in the Rochdale Canal. And the amount of mud is unbelievable. In fact, I've got my welly stuck almost. In case you're wondering where we are, this is Deansgate Locks. So Deansgate Locks is just down there. I'm struggling here to get my wellies out of the mud.
So Connor decided he'd have a little treasure hunt with his bucket.
What have you found there?
Some aftershave.
A bit of juice. Yeah. And we've got a record. Not sure what it is. No label. So when we went for a bit of a walk down there, down the canal, Connor found a bucket and he started putting some of his finds in the bucket. So let's have a look in Connor's bucket. So the first find, Connor, was what? The little penny board there. We found an old pig's cap there. Don't know how old that is, or if it's old or just some sort of fancy dress. And then in the bucket we've got a couple of wallets there and a fully unopened bottle of Coke. So thank you, Connor's bucket.
So a few days later I went back to Lock 89 on the Rochdale Canal and they'd finished the work, job done. They'd done a grand job there of cleaning it all up. You can see all the bricks on the bottom there, and it looks absolutely fine and dandy. So well done, guys, from the Canal and Rivers Trust. That lock is a credit to you.
So I hope you enjoyed the video. We finally got to see the trapdoor, the 200-year-old trapdoor that I thought I'd never see in my lifetime. Like I say, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you to the Canal and Rivers Trust for allowing us to come down here at our own risk and giving us the gear to keep us safe and everything. So thank you to them for that. So from the Rochdale Canal, thanks for watching, and I shall see you very soon in the next video.